Welcome to One Shining Podcast. My name is Mark Titus. Across from me is Tate Frazier. Tate, the Oscars have come and gone.
Yes.
Oscar season is here and gone. So I thought today we should
You're a Hollywood
podcast,
elite at this point.
I'm very elite. I thought today we should do an exercise where we give out like Oscar awards, but we repurpose them as basketball awards. So we do like leading actor, but actually it's like the best player on the team. And then
I thought it was gonna be Grayson Allen.
And then you do supporting actor, and it's like not the best player on the team, but it's like the second best player. And then like best director for that one, you would do like the best coach, for example.
Look at you.
I'm kidding, people. The listeners are like, oh God, what did I got myself into?
Everyone just changed it.
I started out a podcast a couple weeks ago where I did the Jordan LeBron thing. I was like, we're going to spend 3 hours talking about Jordan LeBron. A listener literally paused the podcast and tweeted at me. He's like, sorry, man, couldn't listen to this one. I have better things to do than listen to you guys argue for 3 hours.
Yeah, and you've also heard this argument for the past 15 years, so I think you're going to be all right.
Buddy, I was joking. Just keep listening. Speaking of the Oscars, though, I tried, I said on the pod a couple weeks ago when I said I was coming out here, I was excited. I was going to go try to, like, see what it was about. As it turns out, it's pretty much what you expect. They set up a bunch of fences. See, I want to mention this real quick because there's a lot of people like me in the Midwest, you know, like my people back home are like, you know, tell us what the Oscars about. Like, give us the scoop. Do you see any celebs? You see the stars? It's pretty stupid, Tate. They set up a bunch of fences, can't walk anywhere. Then they just like lay a red carpet, and then like all the rich people, like basically like the rich people are standing on one side of the fence. The not rich people are on the other side of the fence.
They're throwing their gum on the other side of the fence.
The tourists are like whacking homeless people away so they can get with
close,
their selfie sticks so they can get good picture of the.
It's like World War Z when they're like climbing over the wall and they're just trying to get a look.
It was a trip, man. It was a trip. So I went down there, checked it out for like 2 minutes, like I thought I would. And
I will say, I'm not gonna lie. They did the Jimmy Kimmel went into this separate theater and they were screening A Wrinkle in Time. It was like innocent bystanders on Hollywood Boulevard came in to to see a preview of A Wrinkle in Time, and I'm watching this live and I'm like, I bet Mark Titus is in that room. I knew you had walked up there, so I'm just looking at the screen trying to find a Cubs hat anywhere.
Right.
And unfortunately, you weren't there.
I wasn't there. I turned back.
I blame Jimmy.
He
should have found you.
Yeah. I should have definitely gone. So, but let's get to the basketball, Tate. I think we should start.
That's what we're here for.
By just mentioning. I guess my question to you is: should we try to do the Tide Pod Challenge on air right this second? Because between the two of us, it was not a great weekend. It started with Ohio State, my alma mater.
Yes.
I played there.
People forget.
People forget that part. Tony Carr, just get this man out of my face, Tate.
3-0.
I'm done with him. He's got to go.
But isn't it perfect, when you think of Tony Carr? Because when I think of Tony Carr, I think 30 points on Ohio State. That's just what comes to my head. The first thing when I hear Tony Carr. And then he goes 3-0, and it all works out. It was perfect for Tony.
It's not perfect at all.
That's actually the real Tony. It's just putting 30 points up on Ohio State.
So, in case you missed it, Tony Carr dropped 25 this time. We held him in check. we kind of shut him down, if we're being honest.
Yes.
Penn State beat Ohio State for the third time this season. Penn State is the only Big Ten team that Ohio State did not beat this year was Penn State. And we went 0-3 against Penn State.
Sleeping giant.
Listen, I make the joke on here all the time that when you lose to a team, that you can throw out some excuses like we just didn't hit shots, bad matchup, etc. This is a bad matchup for Ohio State. And the most frustrating part is that now Penn State then turns around, loses immediately after that to Purdue.
In a blowout.
And is not going to the NCAA tournament now. So now Ohio State, I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I'm looking at the NCAA tournament field. We don't know the bracket yet, but I'm looking at the teams that are going to make it. And I'm thinking, Ohio State can beat any of these teams. As long as Penn State's not in it, that's good. Maybe we'll actually have a shot at winning this thing. But then the other thought is, if we lost 3 times to a team that didn't even make the tournament, what shot do we have? So,
but we also made the joke on Friday when we were talking about Penn State and the fact that they were trying to build their resume for the tournament. We knew that they had to beat another team besides Ohio State. And at this point, it was like, just lose the game to Ohio State. If you're not going to go do anything else after this Penn State, just take the loss. Just let the better team go on for the good of the tournament. But it turns out it didn't even matter because the Big Ten tournament was still great without Ohio State.
You made the comment that Andrew Dockich was going to have his father's moment like he had
yes, his
Michael
defensive
Jordan
highlight. Yes,
and his defensive highlight. He did not. I would
quite the contrary.
I would say he did not, and that's okay. No, so Ohio State is now in a position where they have 2 weeks off going into the NCAA tournament. They are probably going to be a 5 seed. It's feeling more and more like the 12/5 upset special. We're going to be victims to that. And what felt like the dream season is like, it's a very weird spot to be in where you're going to be disappointed that Ohio State made the tournament and got a 5 seed. But that feels like where I'm headed. Because like at the beginning of the year, I was like, man, if we even make the NIT, I'd be excited. But now, I don't know.
But I think you're in a similar position as me, and we're going to take this to the 21st century. It used to be drink the Kool-Aid. This is going to be eat the Tide Pod.
Eat the Tide Pods.
And that's how we feel at this point in time, and it's because our rival has taken the spotlight from us. Because there was this little run in February. We were coming on this podcast. We were bragging. We were laughing. We were cackling at this point that North Carolina was unstoppable. They won 6 straight. Ohio State had KBD, K to Big Dick. And they were just running the world, and we're laughing and we're scoffing at the thought of our rivals. And then as soon as we hit tournament time, as soon as March hits, Michigan gets hot with Beeline. Of course, January, February, Beeline. And Coach K does what Coach K does, which is turn it up, start yelling at people, run zone completely, and start throwing lobs to Marvin Bagley obsessively. And now everything has changed, and that's why the tide has turned into Tide Pods.
Let's get into it. The good guy, bad guy, Kyle guy, because you're touching on a lot of things we're gonna hit on. But let's just dive right into the segment. We're gonna get to your alma mater in a second, but first,
Pro Jam.
I'm gonna let you go first. With your good guy. Who's your good guy of the week?
Good guy of the week.
This is the last. By the way, should we explain it? This is the last time of the year that
I'm
we're
sorry,
going.
Kyle.
This is the
I don't
last
want
time.
him to do it.
So this is the last. This is probably the last time because the Selection Sunday's coming up. Next pod we do.
We'll be Friday.
We'll be Friday, and then after that, we're gonna come back around. It's gonna be Selection Sunday. We're gonna shift into the tournament. Probably not gonna do good guy, bad guy, Kyle guy. Should we explain it one last time or? No. Okay. Kyle's
saying no, and he's threatening to turn off the computer at this point. But yeah, so a good guy is a coach. Just kidding, Kyle. Our good guy.
This is Kyle. If you got your head out of your ass and actually made some merch, that would be an awesome T-shirt to be like. Good, like just spell out. So a good guy is, and then like do a whole explanation of a T-shirt. Make it like really small font and just goes on and on. And
it's like the Webster's definition.
And it's me explaining what good guy, bad guy, Kyle guy means.
With your highlights, and it's actually a scribbled out face. That'd
People
be great.
love that shirt. Okay, so go ahead. Tate.
Yes,
who's your good guy
Bill Self, the head coach of Kansas.
This is a good pick. I wanted to pick this, but yeah.
Are you upset? Are you mad?
But go ahead. Go ahead.
We have to point it out because Bill Self. He had this whole campaign we talked about on Friday a little bit where he was campaigning for Devontae Graham, a.k.a. the apostrophe, to win the Big 12 Player of the Year nod, which was great. It worked out. That was a very good guy move.
It worked.
He said Trae Young was great in December, but this is the time where the Big 12 player has to come from the conference play and how well they did. So Devontae wins that. The reason that he's a good guy is because Kansas had to play a game, and they had to play Oklahoma State. And they had already lost to Oklahoma State in Lawrence. People forget.
Yes.
That happened earlier in the year. We were freaking out. That was when we were like, are we sure Kansas
That
is
was
good?
when I picked Bill Self as my good. Like, I picked it that way. Yeah, but go ahead.
Because it's come full circle at this point. And so Bill Self, Kansas, they blow this game. They look terrible. I mean, some of the passes in this game, if you watch it at all, like there was a few times LeGerald Vick literally threw it into the crowd. And I wasn't sure if he was messing with me or not, but he like hit 4 or 5 people in the crowd. And then you come and you look at it from a big picture angle of what Bill Self is and who he is. And this is why he's a good guy. Kansas, 14 straight. We know that. They've won 14 straight Big 12 titles. They're going to share it, and that's what they do. But Bill Self went to Oklahoma State, right?
Right.
We remember this. He already lost to them early in the season, which was a signature win for Oklahoma State. And now he's going to go to Stillwater. He's going to go to his alma mater. He's got everything sort of settled in the bag. Everyone believes Kansas is going to be a 1 seed. But Oklahoma State, they need another signature win.
Right.
They need a chance to really, boost that resume. And what does Bill Self do as a good guy he is? Just throws the game.
He throws the game. That's the only way to explain this. I mean,
Genius move.
Kansas got absolutely boat raced. They didn't want to be there at all. If you didn't believe in the Bill Self alma mater special before that game, you sure should believe in it now, Tate. You have to. I don't see.
I don't know what Eddie Sutton has over Bill Self, but something's there, and he's not going to let him win.
This man has never in the history of his Kansas coaching career been swept.
Yes.
Ever.
Ever.
Not once. And the one time he does it is when not only to his alma mater, but when his alma mater is on the wrong side of the bubble and needs like a massive, massive win. I don't understand. Like, it's obvious what's going on here. It's obvious. We've cracked the cat. Like, it's not even. I don't even think it's fun to talk about anymore because it's like it used to. It used to be fun for you and I to throw around conspiracies. And like, oh, here we are throwing this out. Like, has anyone thought about it this way? At this point, it's like the most obvious thing in the world that it's not even fun to
it's so true that it's chilling, that he can get away with this. This is a blatant offense. He knows what he's doing. I mean, obviously it was a good guy move. That's why we can't call him out. That's why
it's sort of, I'm going to spin it this way. It's sort of a bad guy move, like a badass move that Bill Self can throw free games to his alma mater and still win the conference. How badass is that?
Well,
he's like,
it was already locked up.
I'm going to throw these charity wins over here, and we're still going to lock up the conference because, it's unbelievable. So, Bill Self, good guy of the week. That's a good pick. That's who I wanted to pick.
Well, then tell us your pick.
But instead,
yes,
what transpired on Saturday night in Durham, North Carolina, I don't even know where to start. I mean, here's what I know.
Yep.
My good guy of the week wears baby blue. I just don't know whomst he is.
Carolina blue.
I could, like I said, baby blue. I could pick Joel Berry, who went 3 for 11 and got all 8 of his shots blocked that he missed. I swear, every single shot he took was. Have you talked to? Is Joel a friend of the program? Does he listen to the pod? Joel, can we stop shooting from your chin? Is it too late to fix that, Tate?
But it's the exact same thing happened when they played Michigan State early in the year. And I got on this podcast, and I was finally concerned. I was like level 4 concerned, and after this Duke game, I'm around like level 4.5.
Yeah.
Where Joel Berry has to be the engine that makes his team go. We all know that, and he's been terrible.
Damn. So, okay. Joel Berry goes 3 for 11. He could be my good guy of the week. Luke May, who they've played Duke twice now. I said both times going into the game, Luke May's going to make a killing at the high post. All you have to do is turn, catch the ball, turn, and shoot. Make it. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's Luke May's game. He's got this. He's got the J. He's got the size to shoot over the big guy.
But the problem is Luke May has now turned that into one movement. He is now catching the ball, shooting the ball, turning all at the same time, and rushing every single shot. So it's just Brick City.
And he couldn't hit anything to save his life. Theo Pinson could also probably be a good guy who had the same predicament that he caught the ball at the high post, was wide open every single time, had no idea. You see the shit just running down his leg. He's like, I can't shoot. Are you asking me to shoot the basketball? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he is like actually shooting 3 still. Roy. Maybe Roy gets a good guy nod. So I'm not really sure where to go with it, but I'm just going to pick the entire program. North Carolina was up by 13 in the second half. Mm-hmm. You and I
52-39. So 16:50 left in the game.
Forget about the game. Let's talk about me watching the game. Tate texted me the day of the game, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be downtown LA at this bar."
This is how I text.
And you said you should come check it out with me. You should come watch the game with me if you have nothing else to do. I was like, yeah, that sounds.
It was
fun.
a lot more upbeat than that. It was like, hey, Titus, want to come watch the game with me?
So I was like, yeah, I don't really have anything to do in LA. I don't know a lot of people here. I was like, I'll go to the game. That seems fun to watch a North Carolina Duke game with Tate. I get there. Literally everybody in the bar is wearing Carolina stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a North Carolina bar. Tate failed to tell me that. I probably would not have come if that was the case. I felt very uncomfortable.
I also did not know that was the case.
A lot of boat shoes. A lot of
no. These are Trinity Carolina fans. These are Los Angeles Reformed Carolina fans. I've never been to North Carolina.
So the bar is a Carolina bar, but I go to order a meatball sub. I see a meatball sub on the menu. It is a vegan meatball sub.
Not sure how that works.
Explain yourself,
yes,
Tate.
Exactly. Chickpeas, maybe.
This is the North Carolina bar. You have to explain yourself.
I have never been there.
Okay. Unbelievable.
No
Most LA bullshit I've ever seen in my life. That you have it's literally
you said
the menu.
You loved it.
Literally the menu says meatball sub, and then in parentheses it's like
it's a wink.
It's vegan. It's like how can you have a meatball sub if that's impossible. Anyway, so we're watching the game. The first half is going swimmingly for North Carolina. I turn to Tate at one point and I say, I love Joel Berry. And Tate's like, I know, man. He's great, isn't he? And I said, I think the thing I love about Joel Berry is that you just always can trust it. He always seems like he knows what he's doing out there, even if he doesn't know what he's doing. I swear not 5 seconds later, Joel Berry airballs a 3.
Not only that, the whole game falls apart after that.
And that sort of started everything.
In the first half, North Carolina gets up 10 points. Kenny Williams hits the 3 before halftime. There's an incredulous group of people because we all know that this is what Coach K does. This is what happens at Cameron. You get your hopes up. You feel really good about the first half. But what Coach K does is he just sits on his hands for a half and waits and waits and plots and plots. He's got something cooked up. That's all he's doing. And all he did was at halftime, he goes up to Trevon Duval and goes up to him and says, just beat your man off the dribble and throw a lob. And he realized that's every single time. And unfortunately what happened was Joel gets the classic Cameron special, gets a bullshit 3 call on a third foul. And he comes out of the game, and we put in 7th Woods. And one of the rules I have in life is to never speak a word No ill will towards Seventh Woods. I just don't do that. I'm not a part of that crew. There's a lot of people that do that. I don't do that.
What? So how has Seventh Woods earned the right for you to not talk smack about him, but Joel Berry?
Because on the 7th day he was born and his name was Seventh, and that's all you need to know. Seventh Woods is chosen. He came to us. I will never say a bad thing about him. We needed him to come when he came, and he did. Seventh Woods comes in this game. And
you're saying he's a good guy? Should he be my good guy of the week?
He just gets roasted. I think Seventh Woods is the good guy of the week. Just gets roasted. He gets toasted on a Grayson Allen 3, sprayed in his face. Duval beats him off the dribble, throws the first lob to Bagley. Because the secret had been, Pinson had been guarding Bagley this whole time. Mm-hmm. That's a mismatch, folks, in case you didn't know. And Bagley looked terrible in the first half. For whatever reason, he was worn out by Luke May and Theo Pinson. But whatever Kay said at halftime, I don't know if Shire might have chimed in and said something. And
what did he say, you think?
Just throw the f***ing lob. Something like that. And that's all they did in the second half. They beat their man off the dribble, and they threw lobs to Bagley, and he looked unstoppable, and it looked like he was ACC Player of the Year. I was actually going to come on this podcast and make the good guy everyone who voted for Marvin Bagley ACC Player of the Year, because I don't think he earned that. And then in this game,
he earned it.
He earned it. I mean, he just completely earned it. It was unstoppable. That Duke team looked scary. They looked like
it was awesome.
Yeah.
So at the end of the first half, Kenny Williams hits 3.
Yes.
The bar we're at is going nuts.
Everyone knew. There was trepidation.
I turned to Tate and I go, "What's the chant? Is it tar or something?" He's like, "Yeah, just yell tar."
Just yell tar.
So I go, "Tar!" And then the place goes, "Heels!" And I'm doing that back and forth. Little does anybody in that bar realize I'm cheering for Duke in this game.
Yes. You have a Cubs hat on.
I swindled them all.
You're Chicago. I mean, that's what Duke people are. They're all from Chicago. It's a little bit of roots.
I get everybody in this bar on my side, and they're all like, "I don't know who this guy is wearing the Cubs hat, but I like him, that he's starting the Tar Heels chant, getting the crowd into it." And then as it all just starts slipping away, I'm laughing my ass off on the inside. We couldn't have scripted it any better. Not only did Duke come back and win, it's that 3 things happened in this game that were just so delicious as someone who was sitting next to Tate Frazier as it was happening. Number 1, as you said, Duval, who you and I have mercilessly roasted on this podcast, plays the game
mainly
of his
because of his name change.
Well, it's funny because he had 7 points, but he still played the game of his life.
Yes.
Was unbelievable for Duke. So the fact that it all slipped away because of Trevon Duval. Is hilarious to me. Number 2, that you were making the case that Luke May deserves ACC Player of the Year over Marvin Bagley. And then Marvin Bagley.
That was at halftime.
My God.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvin Bagley, he doesn't just dunk. He cocks it back, hits his ass with the ball. Then, he throws up the Shaq legs as he dunks. I mean, it was unbelievable watching. I swear every single point he had was off of dunks. That was amazing. And then number 3, we cap it all off, Tate. The end of the night, Duke has the win. Coach K calls timeout, does the little substitution thing, and your boy comes out, and there's an embrace.
Oh.
And K, in that moment, I think he legally adopted Grayson Allen. I think that was what happened. I think he whispered in his ear, "You will forever be my son." And Tate was throwing shit at the TV. I had to restrain him. He was losing his mind. And all 3 of those things together was just, I mean, it was great.
I'm literally having PTSD as you talk about the situation, because I take a lot of onus on what I said on this podcast a week ago, and I joked about, and this was before North Carolina blew their senior night to a Jaquan Newton 3 that was sprayed in Joel Berry's face, and this is before Grayson Allen got to go away smiling, crying, grabbing ass, hugging.
Seth Davis is tweeting
yes,
he's had the world thrown at him.
He's had the world thrown. This is, I mean, all of this is happening, and I take full responsibility for what I said, because I set it all up to happen like this. Just Grayson, first of all, going off the court and passing the torch to Alex O'Connell.
Yep.
That is a beautiful moment, because I was concerned about the future of Duke basketball and the Duke I know. But I see Alex O'Connell, and I think, there's hope.
Yeah. There's hope. There's hope.
There's more than hope. And then I see John Shire grip Grayson so tightly, and I say, that's the passing of the torch of one, mediocre 3-point shooter that can never make it in the NBA to another mediocre 3-point shooter that will never make it in the NBA. And that makes me happy to see that. But I have to ask this question, and I know a lot of people may get upset about this, and one of our podcast hosts on the network, I'm sure, will be upset about this. I think Grayson Allen had a better Duke career than J.J. Redick.
Ooh.
And I say that as someone who never thought that was possible watching Grayson Allen for 4 years. And I still don't think it's true based on the player and how they played and the impact. But I do think if you put the resume, it's like the LeBron Jordan thing. You know,
Okay.
if you put the resume, and that was a plug, folks. If you put the resume of Grayson Allen next to JJ Redick, 3 versus 4, and you put it on at national champion. JJ didn't win a national title, did he?
Interesting.
And then you start going through the accolades within the ACC. You know, I mean, obviously JJ
National
was
Player of the Year now for Redick.
And then you think about that, and you're like, well, Grayson got soured on votes because of, you know, people thought he had an attitude problem. If JJ played in the 2015 to 2018 era,
right.
I think some people would have had some problems with what JJ was up to.
Also, Duke's entire offense was like get the ball to JJ Redick, and Grayson didn't have that luxury.
He had Jason Tatum next to him. He had Luke
Brandon
Kennard
Ingram.
next to him. Brandon Ingram. All these guys. Yeah. I mean, the national championship game, he was the best player.
Redick had Sheldon Williams, Greg Paulus.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Josh McRoberts. Yeah.
That's about it. Daniel Ewing, maybe. So I'm just putting it out there, and
okay.
I would love to hear JJ's point of view on this.
I see where you're going with this. That we said on the last pod that we need a beef, that we need someone out there to have a beef with, and I like this. Let's throw some shade.
I think we need some internal strife in the Duke Brotherhood, because I think right now everyone's happy and go lucky. I saw like them tweet out this promo for like their movie, like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it was Guards of the Galaxy, and it was all the Duke players of the past, and it was like Austin Rivers, like Chris Duhon, remember this guy, and the whole thing, and JJ was not prominent enough.
Yeah.
And if I'm JJ, I'm upset because I think I'm the best shooting guard at Duke, and right now I think Grayson may have an argument, so I want to hear that fought out.
Okay, so you're basically just trying to stoke the flames.
Yes.
To get the Duke people.
Well, no, I just wanted to talk about it.
How about the Cameron Crazies? The if you didn't see this, the sheet that they put together, was an all-time classic. Classic Crazies. This could not have gone any better for basically people who want to see Tate Frazier miserable. This was like the greatest. This was the greatest. and
Cameron Indoor is the sunken place personified, dude. Like when they have their hands out and they're all on our people, like leave us alone. Leave us alone. Go back to your tents. And what kind of losers have to invite celebrities that have no affiliation with the university or the
Dr.
program
Ken,
at all? Who?
The dude from The Hangover.
2 Chainz?
No, 2 Chainz.
Yeah. 2 Chainz went to Duke. I'm sure he did. Ken Jeong, first of all, he went to North Carolina and Duke, and he's decided to choose sides. And nobody's seen Hangover 3, and he's out. Next up, Tony Romo, CBS analyst. What does he have to do with Duke? I don't know, but he's there. They're bringing all their celebrity friends, and they're trying. It's like the Silicon Valley guys when they have all the celebrities come over, but still no one's talking at the party. That's what Duke's trying to do to us, and they're trying to put on this forward face that we're cool. Everyone likes us. You see Tupac wear that Jeff Capel jersey? Remember that? I'm tired of it.
I love it.
I'm tired of it.
I love it.
Sorry, Duke fans.
No, you're not. It's
I'm
awesome.
not. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
So Duke is in play for a 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Duke is back. North Carolina is now the 6th seed in the ACC tournament. Tate. 6th seed.
Well, they're tied. They're tied.
6th seed.
They're tied. Come on.
In all seriousness, are you worried about North Carolina moving forward? They've lost 2 in a row now, right?
Yep.
They lost 1 at home. They let a game slip away. My take is you probably shouldn't have your 2 best players suck at the same time.
Heading into the tournament.
Heading into the tournament.
That would be a problem.
Bad move. So it's a double-edged question. 1, are you worried about North Carolina? And 2, more importantly, are you worried that do you share the same feeling that I do? That Duke looks damn good and has it all together, and that 2-3 zone. I mean, like I forgot where they were on KenPom with the defense, but it's like shot up to the top 15 KenPom defense.
It just really hurts me that Coach K, a man that takes so much pride in himself as being the best coach of all time, won't teach his team how to play man-to-man defense.
He just gives up. Is that what you're saying?
He's just letting them play zone. That's
makes me sick.
Yeah, it's not good. I'm worried about North Carolina going into the ACC tournament. I think the ACC tournament is sort of a facade at this point because everyone believes that you want to win the national championship, and a lot of times it's hard to win both. As a North Carolina fan, I don't like to win the ACC tournament when I think that they can win the NCAA tournament. I don't think they can this year, so I would like to win the ACC tournament.
Okay.
It's in Brooklyn. It should be fun. I wish we were going, but we're not.
That would be nice. Yeah, I think
Good Guy has really gone off the rails right now.
Yeah, you're very frustrated.
This has gone to a diatribe in my.
No, I mean it's only fair. Like the people have to listen to us talk about our alma maters. You know,
they hate this.
They had to listen to the. Do you
I
know
don't even want to talk about
how many
my team.
people like thought it was so cringeworthy that we were going in on Duke for the Zion Williamson thing, and they're like, "Oh man, you guys, I thought like that's." Oh, so cringeworthy that you guys think that Capel's dropping bags. Wow. How could
Can
you?
we do
How
bad
could
guy?
you?
Can we do bad guy? Let's just get into it.
No, I'll finish the thought. So everyone thinks it's only fair that we then, throw the Duke fans a bone and let them drink your delicious tears as you're crying from Carolina losing. So okay, go into bad guy. Let's transition to your bad guy of the week.
They can let me eat the Tide Pod. Bad guy of the week, and this is low hanging fruit. I don't want to do this. I didn't want to do this, but it's too easy and it's too on the nose not to. Duke assistant coach Jeff Capel, and I know what you're thinking. Tate, you're mad. Tate, you're being sour grapes. You're yelling at Titus. Kyle's pissed off. He's about to turn my mic off. But I say this because he tweeted it out, and he took a picture with 2 Chainz, the rapper, formerly Titty Boy. I'm a Titty Boy fan. I'm not a 2 Chainz fan.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, Titty Boy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, wait, what? That was his original name. Tity space BOI, Titty Boy. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it.
Why did he change his name?
He changed his name to 2 Chainz because he had to leave Disturbing the Peace, which is Ludacris's label. They were holding him back.
Why can't he can we get a mashup and call him 2 Titties or something?
Something like that.
That
would actually be good. That would actually work out. I don't know how he got to 2 Chainz, but that's his moniker now. He's sitting right behind the Duke bench, which I think is crazy. I mean, if I'm Danny Ferry, right? Like, let's say I'm Danny Ferry. I got some guy out there that's 18 years old, wearing my jersey, number 35. I'm looking at the bench. I see 2 Chainz behind the bench. I see Tony Romo, in my peripheral, in the corner of my eye. I'm like, where has my basketball program gone? Where is my Duke basketball? I just can't believe this. And I point to one man, and it's a man that called himself the Duffel Bag Boy. For people that don't know, there was a song by 2 Chainz back in the day, back when it was Play a Circle was his group, and he made a song called Duffel Bag Boys featuring Lil Wayne. And Jeff Capel calls himself a Duffel Bag Boy, puts it on Instagram, a picture with him and 2 Chainz. And that is the most bad guy move of all time, to say, I am a duffel bag boy. I'm here with the man that invented the term duffel bag boys.
Jeff Capel is taunting the NCAA at this point.
He's literally pissing in their face.
He is. He's taunting the NCAA, the FBI.
I don't even know if that's a phrase, but that's what he's doing at this point.
He straight up uses hashtag duffel bag boy. He's the most...
Boys.
Boys.
He's not saying that 2 Chainz is the duffel bag boy. He's saying boys. He's saying the 2 of us are duffel bag boys. Come at me. Please try. I got a Gucci bag in the back. And guess what name is on it?
You have to
Zion.
You have to at least respect that, though, right?
I do.
That the FBI is cracking down on everything, and Capel is landing the top 3 recruits. He's tweeting duffel bag boys.
Reddish, Barrett, Zion.
Doesn't
duffel
care.
bag boys. So that's my bad guy of the week. And I will say this to Duke fans. I know you're upset, but you should be happy. Your team looks great right now. Jeff Capel is not scared of anything.
Do you really think Duke has a shot at one? If Duke wins the ACC tournament, they have to be a 1 seed, right?
Yes.
Do you think they're going to be a 1 seed?
I think Duke.
So who misses out? Because
Xavier.
Virginia's definitely a 1 seed.
Yeah.
I think Xavier's got to be a 1 seed. Or do you think it's going to be like Xavier, Virginia, or
I think
Villanova?
what the committee's going to do is they're going to say which conference is better, the Big East or the ACC. And if Duke wins, then they say the ACC gets the 2 1 seeds. And if Duke doesn't win, then they just stick with Villanova or Xavier.
So you think Kansas is definitely the other one?
Yeah, I think Kansas is locked in as the other one.
Kansas is locked in. Virginia's locked in. I think Villanova is kind of limping into the end of the season. They're not. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying Villanova fans should be worried. I still think Villanova is one of the best teams in the country. I still think they're very, very good. But I mean, you start looking at it they were 6-3 in February, I want to say.
But everyone points to the Phil Booth thing. So they had a caveat.
That's true. Phil Booth comes back. It's a different team. Yep, that's a good point. But you can't take Xavier. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to find a way. The committee will find a way. If Duke wins out.
I think that in their minds, it's like as far as how we sell these 1 seeds, I think Duke does a lot more for them in a region than Xavier. No offense to Xavier. I think Xavier deserves the 1 seed. I think they've had some great moments.
Does Xavier want a 1 seed? I think they do because they've never had one. So I think having that seminal moment of we're arrived.
Here. Yeah.
We won the Big East.
Especially after last season.
We are a 1 seed. It's happening. I think you need that. But if we in a hypothetical world say Xavier got a 1 seed 5 years ago, I don't think Xavier should want a 1 seed this year. I think they should be fine with the 2.
And let's be honest, we got to tell why you don't want to be a 1 seed, and that goes to your bad guy of the week. We're talking about the Big Ten, Jim Delaney, and the hottest team in basketball, the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah. All right, Tate. So the cat's out of the bag. My bad guy of the week, Jim Delaney. The Big Ten tournament just happened. Michigan won. We have a lot of thoughts on the Big Ten tournament. first of all, Michigan red hot. Who is the March coach at this point? Is it Izzo? Is it Beeline? Nobody knows.
That's the argument. In Michigan, they're all fighting for it because, I see all these Michigan fans, and they're locked in. They think Beeline's the guy. We got back-to-back Big Ten titles. We go to Final Fours. This is what Beeline does. This is his movement. But then Izzo is the old adage, dating back to, 2000, right? I mean, that's what everyone says is Izzo's time in March. But Izzo's had some unceremonious exits in the past few years. And, we forget things. People forget.
John Beeline has been to 3 Sweet 16s,
He's been to a
folks.
few Sweet 16s.
He's won 2 Big Ten tournaments now. So that erases Tom Izzo's 7 Final Fours.
Maybe he's early March and Izzo's late March.
Late March, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll
that makes more
split
sense.
up the month.
But that's the no, Beeline, Beeline's got it figured out. I mean, it is awesome. A lot of people think that because again, I played basketball at Ohio State.
That you hate Michigan.
That I hate Michigan. So to clear up a misconception there, I honestly never hated Michigan when we were there. I did for the football games because it's just you kind of have to fit in. It's like if
peer pressure.
Yeah, it's just okay, fine. I hate Michigan. But I grew up in Indiana, so I never really grew up around the Ohio State, Michigan, even the football thing. I never really cared that much. I go to Ohio State, people were like, "Hey man, you're supposed to hate Michigan." I was like, "All right, fine, I'll hate Michigan for the football thing." But Michigan basketball was never really a threat to us when I was at Ohio State. We had great teams. It was the good teams were Wisconsin, Michigan State, Purdue was pretty good. Michigan was okay. We had good games with them, but it was never really that big of a deal. And I say that to say I think a lot of people expect me to hate Beeline and hate Michigan, and I don't. They're fun to watch. I really like this Michigan team. Duncan Robinson's a friend of the program.
Yes,
he's playing out of his mind right now.
Great.
He sees he's got the opposite of senioritis, which is hustleitis. When you're in school and you get senioritis, you just give up. You're like, this is stupid. I'm giving up on this. But I feel like when you're a college basketball player and you're a senior and it hits March and you're not going to the NBA, you're just I'm letting it all hang out and I'm going for it. And he seems to be doing right now, playing really well.
I wish I had a name for him for being able to close out 3-point shots because that's what he's doing. That's his main skill right now. It's just someone looks like they have a wide open in the Purdue game. There were so many times where they swing a ball around and you'd think, oh wow, Carson Edwards has a wide. Here comes Duncan Robinson and just gets his hand out. It was amazing.
He had a big. I think it was the Purdue game. I think
when he had to travel.
It might have been
when he had to travel when they took the shot and then Duncan comes over and he just throws the ball down.
That was
the
Purdue game. That was Purdue game.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the Michigan State game. He had a huge play. He gets an and one. And then Wagner comes over. Wagner basically was stolen valor. like Robinson and Duncan Robinson gets fouled, makes the layup, and turns to the sideline because it's all in one motion. He fouls. He turns to the sideline and is putting his hands up, get the crowd going and stuff. And then Wagner kind of cuts in front of him and starts getting the crowd going. And you're like, whoa. This is Robinson's moment. Let him do the thing. But yeah, Abdul Rahman's playing really well for Michigan.
Best name in college
Xavier
basketball.
Simpson playing really well. Everybody's they just
Charles Matthews.
They look so confident, and I think that's the reason I like this Michigan's team so much is that first of all they play defense, and that if you had concerns about Michigan before in other years, it's they look great on offense, but are they going to guard anybody? Do they care? This team definitely cares, but they still have the holdover of the offensive remnants of how John Beeline teaches offense, which is basically just instill as much confidence as possible in all of your players. And in doing that, Michigan, all these guys are out there and they catch a ball, they're open, they shoot it. They're not the greatest offensive team in the country, but they're all super confident. And when you pair that with a great defense, I don't know. There's a lot to love about that because let's be honest, most college basketball teams are not confident.
No.
Most guys catch the ball and they're open and they're like, Coach, did you say I'm okay? It's okay if I shoot this? Is that cool? Is that So when Beeline gets those guys confident and he's got them playing defense, I don't know, man.
The seminal moment of that game in the Purdue game, which was the title game to me, this was in the second half. Isaac Haas goes up to the top of the 3-point line. He thinks Michigan's just swinging the ball around. He runs up there. He runs over 3 or 4 people, just literally steps all over top of them. And I'm like, what is Isaac Haas doing? He's just mauling people at this point. There's no foul called. He gets back in the lane somehow. They drive and they throw it back to Teskey. And Teskey just has this huge dunk over Isaac Haas. And then he goes crazy. We're all confused because Wagner and Teskey are somehow the exact same person. I don't know if they're related or what, but they look the exact same. They're just going insane. They actually celebrate the exact same way. I don't understand it. But that was the moment where I was like, okay, Michigan's here. Isaac Haas, who, his feet look like they're the size of the lane when he's stomping around. He looks like he was finally deflated. And then the game opens up from there. And that's when I finally felt like Michigan is here. They're like the best team in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, they beat They're definitely the best team right now. I mean, they beat Michigan State and Purdue, two top 10 teams, two teams that have been in the top 10 basically all year.
Yep.
By the way, they had to beat Iowa in overtime in the first round. So, like, I don't know. They have not lost a Big Ten tournament game since they got into that plane wreck, the thing where they had to do the emergency landing.
Yeah.
Haven't lost a Big Ten tournament game since, Tate. I don't know. So
NDEs.
Back to my bad guy, who is Jim Delaney, because we're not talking about Michigan playing well, all that, but let's talk about the Big Ten tournament at large, the grand picture.
What
of
it
the
all
Big Ten
means.
tournament. What does it mean? So I wrote on the Ringer today about basically how the Big Ten tournament was great and was awesome, and it was probably my favorite Big Ten tournament of all time, even though Tony Carr just murdered my team yet again, and my other favorite team, Indiana, lost to freaking Rutgers, and everything about it I should not have liked. But
Shout out to Rutgers. I thought they were going to win the Big Ten tournament at one point.
They got really hot. Bill Raftery compared Corey Sanders to Kimba Walker.
Yeah.
He pulled it out. He's like, dare I say, folks, dare I say it, we got some Kimba vibes in here.
With a kiss.
But the worry is that the Big Ten tournament was a success in Madison Square Garden, and that is a problem because we cannot do this again. This is we cannot have it. We cannot have it in Madison Square Garden again. Yes, we can. It just like I don't know. It didn't feel to me like a Big Ten tournament. It felt to me like some awesome event was going on in Madison Square. Some awesome college basketball event was going on in Madison Square Garden. The crowd was great for the Michigan State game. And then the Penn State Purdue game, like I guess half the people.
Purdue travels. We should say the Purdue fans I was really impressed with. When you looked at the crowd, it was a lot of Purdue people.
You had the Rutgers fans that were coming out of the woodwork, getting excited, thinking, is Rutgers going to do it? They did win 2 games. I mean, this is
Trenton, New Jersey in the house. They're just yelling stuff like that. Yeah,
but it just never really. I don't know how else to explain it. It just like the timing was weird. I know a lot of people, neutral fans, were like, "This is kind of cool that there's a power conference tournament going on like a week early, and we get like something to watch. So we're not watching just sort of all the other conferences are kind of limping to the finish line because the conference races have been decided already." And
well, it's actually genius because you're going against Lipscomb and Florida Gulf Coast on Sunday. So it's like, of course I'm going to watch Purdue, even if it was a blowout. Even though Michigan was up the entire game pretty much, it was like I'd rather watch that than watch Florida Gulf Coast Lipscomb.
It was just it just didn't have. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, like I'm a Midwestern guy, Tate. The Big Ten belongs in the Midwest. It just felt very dirty to me. It was money. It was all about money. It was always about money. And Jim Delaney was just smiling from ear to ear, grinning. Everybody's patting each other on the back. They're like throwing their shoulders out, patting each other on the back. Like, we did it. We did it.
It's a lot of good for you and things.
But as has been pointed out 1,000 times, we're not out of the woods yet because it all depends on like what's going to happen in NCAA tournament from here. And it's the big rust versus rest debate.
Yes.
And
that's what you're going to get on Selection Sunday every single time. So Michigan's probably going to be, what, a 3 seed, right?
Yeah,
or 3 or 4 seed.
Maybe 4, but yeah.
Either the top 4 seed or the last 3 seed possibly. And they get that, and every single conversation that's going to come out of that is, well, the good news is, and I don't know how you're going to take this, but the good news is they are getting a lot of rest. But the bad news is teams are going to come in hot.
Yeah. The bad news is Michigan was hot, and you just wonder, is their momentum going to, did they lose that momentum?
And every pundit's going to have forgotten all the names on the Michigan team except for Wagner. So they're just going to be like, I mean, you look at Wagner and DJ.
Yeah, but so anyway, Delaney, bad guy of the week. I don't know. I mean,
Delaney's son went to Carolina, right?
Delaney went to Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delaney's that's why I've said for years that Delaney is trying. Like his last great move is going to get Duke and Carolina into the Big Ten, and then he's going to ride off into the sunset. And that's it.
I will quit One Shining Podcast. You can write that down.
He's going to get Carolina and Duke into the Big Ten, and then he's going to he wants to do that, and he wants to host. He wants to have the Big Ten tournament outside of America. That's his next. Like we're gonna have it in Toronto one year, and he's gonna be like, there's a lot of. Because here's the thing that's pissing me off about people that are like defending. They're like, New York, it's the Mecca. You gotta let these guys play in the Mecca. The argument that but there are a ton of Big Ten alumni in New York City, so like, why not throw them a bone? Like, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people are freaking out that it's not in the Midwest, but you gotta remember there are actually a lot of alums that live in New York City.
Stop trying to get Northwestern fans to care. Just stop.
Here's the thing, though, Tate.
Yeah.
It's the Big Ten. There are a lot of alums that live literally everywhere. You could have the thing you could seriously have it in London, and I bet there are a ton of Big Ten alums that live in the Big Ten has like 5 million alumni all over the world. It's not
Jim Delaney's gonna go to Shibuya.
You're like, we're gonna have it in El Paso, Texas. A lot of people didn't know this. A lot of those Illinois, Purdue engineers.
You like
go down
Sicario? You like Big Ten basketball?
I mean,
See you in El Paso.
That is not a reason to have a tournament in a city that's not
especially next to Juarez.
It's just the ethos of New York is spits in the face of Midwestern values. Like I grew up in Indiana during the Reggie Miller heyday, where it was Hicks versus Knicks going up. When they were playing the Pacers and the Knicks and those rivalries. And just the idea of New York disgusted people from the Midwest. And the idea of the Midwest for people in New York, they're like, those dumb rubes,
Yeah. They're like, I don't like corn that much.
Those sister kissing sons of bitches, and that was awesome. It's great. Now we're trying to. I don't.
Now
like
you're
it.
in the bag with them.
Now,
so how does it feel?
Now here I am, a coastal elite, live in Los Angeles. It's disgusting. It all disgusts me.
You were at the Oscars last night. You had the Big Ten tournament in New York.
I hate it. So
Jim
Delaney got his bag full. Everyone, everyone was saying it's the worst idea of all time going into the tournament.
Everyone.
And then literally everybody. And then now everyone's like, well, we were wrong. Sorry, Jim. It was actually a great idea. No, just cut it out. It worked. It worked just because at the point I made in the piece I wrote, just because a bad idea works does not mean it was a good idea,
Look, I didn't read the piece, but I will say this. I'll defend this. DC was a bad idea. That did not work. We learned that Maryland has no fans in the DC area, and they're not going to go to the games. So that part of it I thought was good. The fact that they did realize and they recalibrated the system, and they're like, we're going to go. We're like, all right, the Mid-Atlantic didn't work. We're going to go full New York and see what happens. I don't think they're going to stick with this though, because they had great weather. The people turned out, and now the Big East, apparently a snowstorm is coming. I cannot confirm this, but that means that they're going to have a real problem this weekend getting people to go to the Big East tournament.
But that's bad for the Big Ten, because then it's going to be spun. It's going to be like, well, I guess, folks.
Look at our ticket sales.
I guess that's what America wants, is the Big Ten tournament in Madison Square Garden.
I think it's what I want.
This idea that, listen, Madison Square Garden's awesome. It is the Mecca.
I agree.
I'm on board with all that.
Yes.
Whatever, mystique there is about that place, I'm with it. But this idea that, everybody should get a piece of that, every person in college basketball is entitled to their moment in Madison Square Garden. It's ridiculous.
I cannot wait until the Pac-12 has their tournament in MSG.
Right. That's what we're destined for. Is like Larry Scott in the Pac-12. He's like, well, we have a lot of alums that live in New York. How many millions of people live in New York City? There's a lot of everything.
Well, we are the Conference of Champions.
We're I guess
champions live in New York.
We got to give our guys a chance. I just feel like we needed to give our guys a chance to play in the Mecca. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, all the reasons they're giving for having the Big Ten tournament in Madison Square Garden. It would make sense for Duke and Carolina to play there, right? Why don't Duke and Carolina play in Madison Square Garden every time they play? They would make a ton of more money.
It's a home game for Duke. We won't allow it.
Right. They would make a ton of money. They would get the mystique of Madison Square Garden. It would be all these same reasons apply. You know why they don't? Because there's a thing called tradition.
Yeah.
Can we honor some tradition?
For once.
So bad guy Jim Delaney. So the next 4 tournaments are in Chicago and Indianapolis. They're going back to that. But he said once every so often they're going to go to. I think they're going to go to Madison Square Garden, and I don't know. It sucks. It should happen once every 20 years. Is my pitch.
Yeah, just do it when
move.
Just don't do it.
If you want to move it around, have it in Minneapolis or Detroit or Milwaukee or some other cities like that. Keep it in the Midwest, man. It's a Midwest thing.
I think it's good for Detroit, but then people are going to say Michigan State as a.
How would you This is the equivalent of having the ACC tournament
in Brooklyn. Yeah.
In Brooklyn.
And it's happening.
But at least that's on the Atlantic Coast Conference. That's on the Atlantic Coast. I mean, it would be like you're having the ACC tournament in Dallas or something. That's kind of how it feels. And you'd be like, what,
Tampa was the worst one.
Tampa
was hilarious because
there are a lot of bad ones.
It was Yankee spring training when we were down there for the ACC tournament. So Derek Jeter, A-Rod, everyone's around. Everyone's super excited about the Yankees. No one even knew the AC tournament was going on. They're like, oh, man, the Yankees are in the hotel. Welcome to the Marriott. Derek Jeter, A-Rod, they'll be up there signing. It's like, I thought the AC tournament was happening.
Where do you, as a neutral fan, stand on the Purdue teams the Big Ten teams, after watching the Big Ten tournament? Where do you stand with Purdue and Michigan State? Michigan State was – I feel like if Michigan State won the Big Ten tournament, they would have been everyone's pick to win the national title.
I love that they lost.
Would you agree that if Michigan State had won the Big Ten tournament – everyone's office pool, the majority of people.
Well, they're locked in. It's Izzo season.
So, in Purdue, I mean, before K to Big Dick started swinging that thing in Mackey Arena, Purdue everyone was like, are they the best team in the country? Now they're kind of sliding back. I still believe in them, but I'm biased. I'm a Big Ten guy. What are your thoughts, Tate?
I think Michigan State's still the best team in the Big Ten by far. I don't even think it's close.
Still,
yeah.
Michigan swept them. Michigan beat them twice this year.
I'm not afraid of that. It's about, to me,
bad matchup.
It's a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup. But it's also one of those things where the Michigan State team has so much talent, and you look at Jaren Jackson, you look at Miles Bridges, and those games when you watch them, they look so out of sorts for whatever reason. I mean, like even Tum Tum coming in some of those games, and we love Tum Tum Nairn. We are pro Tum Tum, but like he comes in just like a ball of fire, just like making turnovers, and just looking at like they just look so lost. And I don't expect to see that when the tournament starts. I actually like that they have 2 weeks. I feel like Izzo can get in a room with those guys and just be like, we gotta lock the hell in. Like this is our time. This is our team. And I know
got a reputation. Goddamn it! How dare you?
I gotta go coach the Cavs next year.
I still don't talk to Denzel Valentine and Bryn Forbes after that bullshit losing to Middle Tennessee. Now, goddamn it, if you do that to me, you will not do that to me again.
Yes, yeah. And it's the year with Flint, with the back tattoo of Miles Bridges. I feel like this is a Flint type year for them to make the Final Four run. I still think they're the second best team in the country, even though we can't say that now because they've lost all these games. But I don't know. I'm Michigan State all the way.
So Purdue, are you out on Purdue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Matt Painter. Are we gonna have some thoughts on him here in a couple weeks? Purdue fans already have thoughts on him. I'm in tune with the Purdue fans. You should have seen the Purdue fans after the Bahamas. The early season trip to the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Painter discussion. Then they rattle off 19 in a row. A lot of taking back those Painter comments. And now,
so that's really my question with Purdue right now with Painter and that whole team. Obviously, the way to beat them is to go at Haas, try to foul him out, get him out of the game early, get him in foul trouble. And then Painter's had this, I guess, amazing season, but it's kind of been underwhelming. Like there's been these highlights, and you thought they were going to win the Big Ten, and they get up, top 2 in the country, and then they falter back. And then the Big Ten tournament, you think they're going to have this run, you think they're the best team, they should beat Michigan, and then they kind of get blown out. I mean, it's not a blowout, but if you watch the game, it wasn't very close. I don't know. I'm weird with Purdue right now.
They're in the same boat as Ohio State, where it's like,
did we have a good season?
What happened? Like 2.5 weeks ago, this was like the greatest season ever, and now it's like, what happened? How did we get here? I don't know. It'll be interesting. I believe in Michigan. I believe in Michigan State. Purdue, I'm out on Ohio State.
Yeah, see, I think it's Michigan.
I'm worried about Ohio State and Purdue. Those are the
I'm
ones
worried about the
about.
Ohio State 5 seed. I am also worried about Michigan being the 4 seed, upsetting a 1 seed. I'm like Michigan State are the 2 teams, and then I think there's a significant drop off, and then I think it's Purdue and Ohio State are on the same level.
Yeah. All right, it's time. Let's get into some Kyle Guy. Some Kyle Guy discussion. We have a handful of things to touch on with Kyle Guy.
First, sprained MCL. Matthias Gebben from Notre Dame ribs him on the knee, and he goes down hard. I thought he was actually severely hurt with the way he went down, and he's grabbing his knee. The trainers are out there. He gets taken off. He's limping. People are freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm like, no, not Kyle Guy, no. And it turns out he's okay, or at least we have a little quote, but he basically says, my knee hurts like hell. That was the exact quote from him. And then the next question, he's asked if he's going to play on Thursday. Apparently he's going to wear a brace. And he says, I feel 100% ready to go. Now, this is what we call a classic contradiction. So this is the Kyle Guy update with contradictions. And this is why I don't believe in percentage of health. When you say my knee hurts like hell, and you have a sprained MCL, and you're wearing a brace.
But other than that,
I'm 100%. Just say like, hey, my knee hurts. I'm wearing a brace. I'm probably like 85%.
Yeah.
Just give me that.
Just give me that. Speaking of 85%, speaking of Kyle Guy playing to 85%, 80% of his potential. Again, I don't like to do this, but we are fair and balanced journalists. It's our duty to
we can't hide behind the barriers of a segment.
Kyle Guy, last 12 games, he is shooting 35% from the field, 30% from the three-point line, only averaging like 12 points a game. And I know Virginia 12 points a game, that's like 20.
Yeah,
but
it's like 20% of their points.
It's still like not, it's 12 points a game. Only two rebounds a game, about 1 assist a game.
Taking a lot of shots too.
And this man, I don't know if you saw this, Tate. This man was named second team All-American by USA Today.
And first team All ACC.
And he was also named first team All ACC. Now listen, we're excited about this. as we've said, we made Kyle Guy the man he is
We
today.
are purveyors of the Kyle Guy mantra.
We
like Kyle Guy.
We introduced Kyle Guy to his
Yes.
fiance. She did not know who he was. She listened to the podcast. She was like, I'm interested in this guy, literally. And
she was like, so you produce the podcast and you play for Virginia?
So we're obviously very pro Kyle Guy, but when Kyle Guy is being named second team All-American for USA Today, and my boy Tate, a big dick, is not even third team. He gets relegated to honorable mention. We have a problem, Tate. We have a very serious problem. The Kyle Guy hype has gotten out of control. Even Virginia fans are like turning their heads like, whoa. I mean, Devin Hall was not first. What the hell's going on here?
He's their best player and their best scorer, and people get mad at us. Like I said on this podcast that Kyle Guy was going to be the de facto Virginia player. Like
you called it. You did call it.
You have to pick a player on Virginia because they're so good. They're the number one team in the country. You have to pick a guy on that team, and they are literally a team. Everybody matters in some sort of capacity, and they don't have anyone that really stands out other than, I guess, Devin Hall. They just pick Kyle Guy. Everyone picks Kyle Guy. You don't even watch Virginia play, and you're like, oh, Kyle Guy.
Listen, by us saying that Kyle Guy does not deserve these accolades, it's proof that we actually watch Virginia.
Yes.
None of the other people that cover college basketball obviously watch Virginia because they're just like, let's see, Virginia's number one in the country. Someone from Virginia's got to be on this team. Let's just pick their leading scorer. Oh, who's this Kyle Guy?
Him, yeah.
Let's just throw him on there. But Tate and I watch Virginia basketball because we're
journalists.
We're journalists. We take our job seriously. So anyway, Kyle Guy, he's 100%. Apart from the whole like blown out knee, like I can barely walk, can't put any weight on my knee. But that's that. So.
And we should say Isaiah Wilkins, Defensive Player of the Year for Virginia, a guy that does get credit for where it's due. I mean, he was unbelievable. He was the only guy that really shut down Luke May all season, like face to face. He was basically like, I'm not letting this guy score on me.
This guy? He's like, about this guy?
He's like, this guy's Luke May? He's like looking at Sterling Manley. He's like, that's not Luke May? And that happened. I think he earned it that game.
Speaking of Luke May, my favorite part of watching the game with all the Carolina fans was asking all the women at the bar, is Luke May attractive? A lot of no's. More no's than I anticipated.
But you're also asking my girlfriend who, she was just trying to be nice.
She's a one. Yeah. Congratulations on the girlfriend, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Good for you.
Thanks.
But yeah, I was surprised. A lot of no's. I thought Luke May strikes me as a guy that would be beloved by the women of Chapel Hill, shall we say.
I'm waiting for him to really fully grow out the beard.
That would help.
That's the problem.
That would help.
Right now, it's like in between. We don't know where he wants to go with it. I need a playoff beard, and I need him to buy in.
Is he coming back?
Yes. Come on. Luke May's going to be a GA on the team. Like, that's what he's destined for.
Do we want to do Kyle's guy?
Yeah, Kyle, can you hear us?
We can't. Kyle,
we can't hear.
We're recording
on a stage.
Kyle's behind glass.
Up.
He's putting. We can't read that, Kyle.
We can't read that, Kyle. God.
Kyle, act it out.
Act it out, Kyle. Who is it?
Oh my God.
He's doing a terrible job right now. So I think he's going to come yell at us.
We can't see. Kyle, you're ruining the bit. You're supposed to act it out.
Yeah, act it out, Kyle.
I'm not going to say a word. Turn it over.
Ooh,
wow.
Kyle has handed us a piece of cardboard that he's
one of my favorite players.
Torin Dorn.
Dorn.
I would like to get the backstory to this.
That's great.
What was he? He was just watching the Louisville game, I suppose.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Good for NC State.
For Kyle, yeah.
That's good reach.
That's great for the brand.
To Los Angeles. NC State fans, by the way, they hate me. Let's put that. They are not a fan of me.
They should.
Have never been a fan of me. But I said on this podcast that I thought they were one of the hottest teams in the nation, coming off their Georgia Tech loss where they got screwed by the officials.
Yeah.
And I've never had people be so nice to me. Coming out of Huntersville, North Carolina, be like, hey man, I hate the podcast, hate you, but I like that answer. And that was nice. That was nice to hear. So I appreciate that, NC State fans.
Congrats, you're learning how to play the game.
Yes.
See how it works?
Yes.
You see how I did the thing where I was like, I don't hate Michigan. I actually love it. Yeah. You see what I did earlier? Yeah, you're learning.
I'm learning.
You're learning.
Congrats, Kyle.
Good job, Kyle, with the Torin Dorn. We can't hear Kyle's commentary. I would love the backstory, but Kyle does not have a microphone. So sad. The world will never know the story behind Torin Dorn for Kyle.
But that's also just a great plug for Torin Dorn. I mean, a guy that you don't hear, like when you talk about State, there's all these other guys that come up, Beverly or Yurtseven, and Torin Dorn is an integral part of that team. So congratulations to Torin.
All right, Tate, a few things we got to get to before we wrap this thing up. First and most importantly, we have an update on the mystery that will never end. This is chapter 643 on the Michael Porter Jr. saga. Play the music, Kyle. All right, Tate. So we get word Michael Porter at this point. If you're just tuning into the program, Michael Porter Jr. has been cleared to play. He has been 100%
by his personal doctors.
He is. This isn't a Kyle Guy 100% situation. This is a legitimate 100% clear situation.
This is the medical staff basically begging the guy to play. They're like,
yes.
Look, you can play. I promise you. Look, you can lay it in.
Listen,
He's like, I don't know.
Listen, our entire careers depend on you playing. Averaging like 20 and 10 the rest of the season.
Why do you think I'm in Missouri?
Yeah, God damn. Like, you think I want to be a doctor in Missouri? Holy shit. I went to Johns Hopkins, bitch. And I ended up here in Columbia, Missouri, working on your bum ass. Get your ass on the court.
You don't think Delaney invited me to New York?
God damn. Get your ass on the court and start putting up points so I look better. So Michael Porter Jr. has been 100% cleared at this point, but he is still not playing. However, we have news. Breaking news. Jeff Goodman tweets, one source on Porter, quote, I'd be shocked if he doesn't play at the SEC tournament.
That is the most open-ended bunch of bullshit I've ever heard, and I'm so tired of this because one source could easily be the guy that's sending us updates. The same guy that said he's coming back for Auburn. The same guy that said he's going to play at Kentucky on Saturday.
The same guy that said, I have wiretap of Sean Miller offering $100,000 to DeAndre Ayton.
Schlaybot, you did it again. I will say this, leave it. I'd be shocked, just like that qualifier. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play at the SEC tournament. Not that he would play in the first game of the SEC tournament, not that he would wait it out to play in the championship. I think this comes down to, and I said this on Bill Simmons' podcast with you, I think that he knows he's a top 5 pick.
Yep.
And I think if he goes out there, they're going to hand him his
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for not playing.
Yep.
Because I understand that feeling. But to go into a game cold like that, to all these guys have been playing a whole season, they're going to wreck you.
There's only one scenario where we're coming back and playing. When I say coming back, I mean playing this season, not like coming back for sophomore year, because I actually think he should come back for sophomore year. But there's only one scenario where coming back is a good idea for Michael Porter, and that is if he can average like 25 and 15 and
he's Kevin Knox
and lead Missouri to the Elite Eight, and like that's pretty much the bar, because this man has been hyped through the roof. Missouri fans are like their program was an absolute disaster. Like Frank Haith, the crop duster, as I like to call him, because he shits all over, he farts all over a program and then takes off running and doesn't have to deal with the stench.
And now he's in Tulsa farting it up.
He does that to the Missouri program, gets the hell out of there. They're a disaster. Then they have just like all of this fall into their lap. I don't know how it necessarily happened. I don't know. I'm sure those journalism students at Missouri can crack the case for me, but suddenly, just overnight, Missouri just starts landing, all these great players, and everything starts.
They get rid of Kim Possible, and then they bring in their new crew.
But this was supposed to be the year coming into the year, and even now, like Missouri's not having a great year, but they're having a pretty good year. They're going to make the tournament
year.
Yeah, they're having a tournament year, and there's still like the hope that Michael Porter Jr. is going to come back, and he's going to come back. He's going to lead us to the promised land. It's still going to happen. I'm crossing my fingers. It's going to happen, guys. It's got to happen, and all the expectations are just like through the roof. This isn't a situation where like Kyrie with Duke, where, I mean, Duke fans weren't, like their entire existence didn't hinge on whether Kyrie Irving led them to a Final Four or whatever. But like Missouri fans are at that point where they're just like so downtrodden. They are just a tortured fan base, and they are putting all of their eggs in the Michael Porter basket, and that does not seem to be a wise
working
decision.
out. But it is working out that they got Jonte, his younger brother, to reclassify, to come to Missouri. And he's taken on he's shouldered a lot of the burden of the team basically for scoring and stuff, and he's looked great. So that does give me hope about Michael, that his brother is good, and he was supposed to be it'd be like if LiAngelo went to UCLA a year early and was great last year, and Lonzo sat out the whole year. That's sort of what the situation is, and I don't know. That gives me hope for Michael Porter Jr. I don't think he's ever going to play this season.
I don't think so either.
I think
I would be shocked if Jeff Goodman's source isn't shocked if Michael Porter Jr. doesn't. If Michael Porter Jr. is also shocked that he doesn't play. That's my statement on the matter.
My best case scenario is Michael Porter Jr. plays, he comes out, he has 25 and 10, he says I shocked the world, and then he sits out the next game.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
He's like, I did it. I'm done.
I think let me the SEC. So the SEC bracket. Let me pull it up real quick. The SEC bracket is Missouri will play Georgia or Vanderbilt on Thursday.
So here it is.
In the first game. And then they'll play Kentucky if they win.
So you play Vanderbilt. Say Vanderbilt beats Georgia. Sorry, Yante Maiden. Love you to death. They played Georgia. Yante Maton, great 3-on-3 pick for the SEC. People
Yeah.
were upset we didn't pick a team. Yante Maton will be on that team. They go into the first game. They play Vanderbilt, one of the worst teams in the SEC. Michael Porter Jr. comes back. He blows them out. He has 30 and 10, and then he sits out the next game.
And he says,
He's like, I'm
that
done.
would be the move because you want no part of Kentucky.
No.
You don't want to play against Kentucky
No.
guys because you know how many scouts are going to be watching that game. Yeah, you don't want to mess with
It's
that.
going against the guys that may be better than you.
There is no way he's coming back for this thing. So yeah, that's the Michael Porter update. A couple other things we got to get to, Tate. You mentioned this earlier. I think we need to I don't know. We need to bring it back up. Devontae Graham wins Big 12 Player of the Year over Trae Young, as you mentioned earlier. I don't have a problem with this. The part that's interesting to me, it was unanimous decision, Tate. Did you have a problem with this?
I don't have a problem at all, but I do have a problem with the idea that being a unanimous selection therefore carries some sort of extra gravitas.
Yeah.
Every single time you talk about it, you're like, well, he was unanimous. You know, it's like when Stephen Curry won the MVP. It was
I
like,
think,
he was
I'm
the
going to
first
tell you
unanimous
why. Because
MVP.
There are a lot of idiots who are sports writers.
Yes.
Present company excluded. But
no normal person in their day-to-day would be like, I mean, he was unanimous.
But it's a way to say, like,
no one remembers.
listen, he was so good that even the idiots agreed that he was good. And I think that's the point of bringing up the unanimous thing.
But my thing is, I think that they did unanimous not to praise the apostrophe Devontae Graham. I think it was done to slight Trae Young, to say, basically put him in his place a little bit. Like it's like almost like jaded lovers, you know. Like we gassed this guy up and said he was so amazing. He was the next Steph Curry. All this, you know, he's changing college basketball, and then he let them all down. You know, he made him look a little bit stupid. So then they're like, Devontae.
My problem with all this is sort of everyone who votes on this stuff, like, they think they're so clever with how they're handling Trae Young. They're like, you started seeing that with the National Player of the Year. Like, Jalen Brunson's going to win National Player of the Year, I think. I don't think he should win it, but you started seeing the tide turn, and people were like, this might be a hot take, guys, but I actually don't think Trae Young deserves the award. And everyone's like, oh, man, wow, that's good for you for going against the grain. And, like, everyone thinks that they're different and like, I got an interesting take for you. Not Trae Young. How's that sound? And then literally every single person did voted the exact same way and gave it to Devontae Graham.
It's I don't want to be that guy, but I like my players to play 4 years and win titles. You know, it's that stance.
If he's really the player of the year, then why, his stats dipped, and why didn't he win the Big 12 like Devontae Graham did and all that? I think if gun to my head, I probably would have voted for Trae Young still. I still, like, you can't deny his stats, and you get to the point where if you switch their positions, if Trae Young is on Kansas, is Kansas a worse team? No, they're not. If Devontae Graham...
I won't say that, Devontae.
Oh, you love Devontae Graham. If Devontae Graham is on Oklahoma, is he coming anywhere close to doing what Trae Young's doing?
No. But this is
is Oklahoma winning more? No.
But this is the perfect, like, you've been Robin for 3 years next to Frank. Like, he had Frank Mason for the whole ride, and he's been, and it's the story of Devontae's first season. I think he averaged like 5.2 points per game. He was coming off the bench. He wasn't really an integral part, and now he's worked his all the way up to being the senior leader of the team. So everyone's like, this guy's earned it. We want to give it to him. Yeah. Let's make it unanimous.
That definitely happens
of course.
With the award voting.
Of course.
So yeah, but I don't have a problem with it. I mean, Devontae Graham, great year. Kansas, it looked like it was going to slip away from him. He's been playing out of his mind, and I think there is something to be said. Like, if you want to frame it in a situation where, like, everything Trae Young did before conference play shouldn't count, I'm down with that. If that's how you want to attack the conference awards, I'm cool with that.
And that's what Self sold us on.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, that makes sense to me. So I don't have a problem with that. One more thing before we wrap this all up. You are our American Athletic Conference correspondent. You watched Temple versus Wichita State. You were famously out on Wichita State, like, what, in November?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes,
like,
after Maui.
Yeah, after Maui.
They lost to Notre Dame and Maui.
I'm done with this team.
Team that's not going to make the tournament.
They rope you back in because you love Temple.
Quality win over Temple.
Yikes.
Yikes. Not even
Right
listed.
now.
Like, Joe Lunardi just wrote them off.
So then you made the argument that the American is a major conference.
Yes.
You're all in on the American.
I have a slogan. It's
American.
called Make American Major Again. We want the American Conference back. We want to pull them up from the ranks of the lowly abyss of the mid-major territory. And you talk about some of the teams in the American Conference that matter right now. Cincinnati really, really matters. Top 10 team. We joked before the season, Xavier, Cincinnati are 17-18 always in our heads.
Nope.
This year, they're 5-8 in our heads.
Yeah.
3-8 in our heads, something like that. So congratulations to them, first off. Wichita State, They seem to be peaking at the right time. I know that they just lost to Cincinnati, but they are a real contender. People are going to pick them. That's like a fun – that's the contrarian pick. It's like, I know about the Shockers.
Yeah.
I'll pick the Shockers.
Yeah.
That's what they're all about now. But the best game, the reason we're talking about the American, and this is what people don't understand, the best matchup in the American is a 7-10 matchup in the tournament. And it's going to happen on Thursday. And
Interesting.
It's Dunphy versus Dunleavy, and it's Tulane versus Temple. These are
love Temple, man.
These are two programs right now. They're at a crossroads. It's like, what are we gonna do here? Like, Dunleavy's at Tulane, and he's like, I'm gonna get Tulane back. We used to be a contender back in the 1950s. Like, I gotta drop that bag. This is a private school. This is what Dunleavy's do. Mike Dunleavy Jr. is gonna be on staff pretty soon, I'm sure. Dunphy's at the point where I got Quentin Rose. I got all these stars around me. Turns out they can't win shit. They were down 24-0 to Tulsa this weekend, and he's going to be at the point where we're going to get rid of him and bring in some, coach that can actually coach these guys.
Tom Crean?
Possibly Tom Crean.
Someone slid into our DMs, said Tom Crean. So
bring him in. That would make the American great.
We got to get on record. We should just end the pod with saying we should just provide a soundbite of us saying Tom Crean will take the UConn job. Tom Crean will take the Pitt job. Tom Crean will take the Temple job. Tom Crean will take and just get us on record so then that way we can splice the soundbite and be like, dude, we called this all along.
Welcome to the world, folks.
So when it actually happens,
welcome to the business. We're just predicting all this. But I will say, American, if you want to watch a fun tournament, watch that tournament. Watch that game on Thursday. Temple versus Tulane. It'll be a really fun game. I promise.
Cincinnati beats Wichita State in Wichita.
Yep.
After Wichita State beat them in Cincinnati, in Northern Kentucky, I think is where they were playing this year. But yeah, it was a good game. It was a fun game. I only caught the end of it. I caught Connor Frankamp throwing up the last-second shot, trying to cross his guy up, and he kind of sized him up, does the ISO thing, and he's like, and you can just you feel the air get sucked out of the Wichita State fans.
I will say this: my biggest hesitation about Wichita State in the tournament is that when push comes to shove at the end of games, they don't give it to Shamit. They give it to Frankamp.
Yeah.
It's like as if Frankamp is like the ice cold dude that they're just like, we got to have Frankamp because he's ready for this shot. He's ready to take it. And I don't think that's the right.
Shamit's just like he's been that way, all year kind of. He's just not aggressive, and that's cool and it's fine. But I don't know. It's like, dude, you're the player on this team.
Yeah,
you're the guy.
Yeah, it's not McDuffel.
Yeah, don't McDuffel. It's not. I don't know.
It's not Shaq.
It's not Shaq. It's you. So yeah, that's the American update. We appreciate it. Good for you, Tate. You're keeping the people abreast of the American Athletic Conference. Still the worst name.
Got to figure it out. And AAC is too close to ACC, and people were upset that we said something. I think I was talking about Temple, and I said they were in the Big East, and American fans get very upset. I'm sorry, I was trying to boost them up. Like, what do you want me to do, folks?
You said Temple was in the Big East?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know what I say. I don't listen back to this. Kyle loved that.
I trolled Cincinnati fans on Twitter to John Ross did, and
calling them
speaking
a
of
mid-major.
yeah. But if I can pat myself on the back, I did it kind of masterfully. I didn't just say Cincinnati's a mid-major. I kind of did it to where damn, Cincinnati gets no respect as being one of the great mid-majors, and then Cincinnati fans were like, "Are you shitting me?" And I would respond to them, and I'd be like, "No, dude, Cincinnati is actually legit." I wouldn't address that.
I love Cincinnati. Mick Cronin is a great coach.
I would address them mid. It's so fun.
And we should say we saw Cincinnati in person this year at Los Angeles play UCLA. It was a great game for Cincinnati. We like the team.
My stance on Cincinnati is the same as it's always been.
Make some shots.
If you can make some shots, I'm with it. I will ride with you. If you cannot, get out of my face. I want nothing to do with you. We get it. You can play defense. Just make some damn shots. That's all I need from you. And when they're making shots, guess what? Guess what, Tate?
Yeah.
I've made it clear on this podcast a million times. You make shots, I like you. You miss shots, I don't, and that's where I stand with Cincinnati. So
that's the mantra of this podcast.
You got any shout-outs?
Shout out for me, Pat Ewing, congratulating all of his team on Twitter for getting their awards in the Big East. First team, second team, honorable mention, and he follows it up with the classic coach mantra, which we really love. Pat Ewing, I said some bad things about when he took the job. I thought he was there to be the face of Georgetown, but not do the work. The man's doing the work. He says, "See you at practice bright and early." Coach Ewing, shout out to you.
Shout out to Coach. Speaking of coaches shouting out. I feel like I want to briefly mention this Thad Matta to Ole Miss situation. I want to shout out to Thad Matta and tell him, don't do this, Thad. So the report was that Thad was apparently in Oxford, Mississippi. Was what the report said. That I forget who reported it. ESPN, somebody.
Slaybach,
yeah. Slaybach reported. He had multiple sources. So. My first thought was this is bad. This is not good. My second thought was the exact same. But then you try to think of maybe there's a reason he's there. Like what, maybe he has family there. Maybe he has. No disrespect to the people of Ole Miss. I don't really think there's a lot of reasons to go to Oxford if you're not really like from the area. And so he had no reason to be there. It was pretty obvious he was meeting with them. I don't like it, Tate. I don't like it one bit. Like if he takes the job, I'm going to love it. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to buy in. I'm going to become an Ole Miss fan. I will be down there. I mean, the one thing that he has going for him if he takes his job is Mike Conley's in Memphis.
Yes.
Thad Matta being like he can use the Conley thing. You kind of like Memphis is a dumpster fire. The Tigers. And the Grizzlies too, but like what Tubby's doing with Memphis is just bad. So maybe Thad's like, I use Mike Conley as my chip, and maybe can recruit a little bit, but like you don't need this Thad. Come to Pepperdine, right?
I think come to Pepperdine, but I will spin this a little bit. The good news about Ole Miss is that there is no pressure at all because football matters,
right?
And Andy Kennedy is still the winningest coach in program history.
Right. But they said so
Thad can do better than that.
They said the exact same shit to Thad when he took the Ohio State job, and then he won 9 Big Ten titles and went to 2 Final Fours, and they're like, not good enough. We're gonna have to fire you. Sorry.
He's like, I had this guy on the bench. He didn't play last year. His name's Tate.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't like hyphenated names. It'll never sell.
Listen, I think Thad Matta. I mean, the year Keita Bates-Diop was having proves that Thad should have been fired because he didn't do anything last year. Thad to Ole Miss. I think I don't have any inside sources on this. I've not talked to Thad about this. It was my understanding his daughter is a freshman at Butler. The Matta family has moved to Indianapolis. It was my understanding he was just going to just like hang in Indianapolis and chill for a little while and just kind of count his money.
The Gene Chizik move. Yeah.
So I've always been under that assumption. If he does get back into coaching again, I haven't talked to him about this because I didn't think it was necessary to bring it up. But I think Pitt makes a lot of sense. I think Pitt is like going to be interested in him. I think he knows the Midwest, which Pitt's not technically a Midwest city, but it basically is. That would make a lot of sense to me if Pitt opened up, but I don't want him to coach again. I just want him to chill. So,
and that's a tough conference to go into. After going 0-18 and have no roster because of Kevin Stallings.
Shout out to him. Also, Buzzcut Brad had his surgery.
Yep.
He fixed his shoulder. He's been playing with the shoulder strap. His shoulders popped out basically every game. And listen, I like Buzzcut Brad. I know he has friends of the program because he's self-aware of the Buzzcut Brad nickname, so this is going to get back to him, what I'm saying about him right now. I would just like to point out, like, I'm going to accuse him of his shoulder only popping out on nationally televised games. I'm not saying.
A little conspiracy here.
You think like maybe he's just gassing it up a little bit, like given the show, like anytime they're playing a ranked team, that shoulder is coming out. That's happening. But he finally got it fixed, got it surgically repaired, and Greg Gard reports that the very first words out of Brad Davison's mouth when he woke up after surgery was, "We're going to beat Michigan." Like, love the enthusiasm, love it, we expected nothing less of Brad Davison. A little confused why he chose Michigan.
Does he know the tournament's over? Did they get him another game? He's like, I'm ready to play, coach. He's like, all right, Brad. Well, next year we'll see you.
Greg's like, Brad, it's with a heavy heart that I must report we were 15-19 this year. We're not good. Our season's over, Brad. It's done.
Speaking of Wisconsin, Ethan Happ also is graduate transfer.
You're on this thing. I don't understand where this is coming from.
I think Ethan Happ, a man that used to thrive on PER and box plus minus, has fallen off by the wayside at an astronomical level. I mean, looked like shit all year. I think he's got to go to another Big Ten program and save them. I think he's going to go to Purdue. That's my pick. That's my graduate transfer move. That's what the Big Ten does. It's very incestuous. They just let players go different places. Ethan Happ to Purdue.
You're trying to submarine the Big Ten, and you always have been. That's why you pick Big Ten coaches as your good guys of the week. I see what's happening here. From the moment Tate found out that Ethan Happ was not a senior and that he was graduating. So Ethan Happ,
he's free man, free agent,
could transfer and immediately play anywhere.
He's out.
Tate's eyes are lighting up, and he's like, how can I spin this to try to sabotage all the Big Ten programs? Because I hate that the Big Ten is more relevant than the Big Ten, even though it sucks, more people still care about it than the ACC. It drives Tate nuts.
No one cares. No one cares.
But shout out Brad Davison. Get well soon. We love you. We miss you. We can't wait for next year when you beat Michigan. So that's cool. Also, Red Panda's back.
Yes,
she was back at the
Big Ten. That was the best thing the Big Ten had this weekend. Red Panda was back with her unicycle. We got the full report with everyone discussing her dish tossing. That was great. Also, Chicago State, my good guy of the week, brought up Tracy Dildy, the head coach of Chicago State. People forget. They were the only team left that would have gone winless in conference, just like our boy Stallball did. And they get the win against the Kangaroos.
The Roos.
So they don't go defeated in conference. So Kevin Stallings is a man amongst...
He's a man on an island.
Yeah, literally amongst shit. And here he is. Kevin Stallings on top of the world.
Pitt is 2,000 to 1 to win the ACC tournament.
We didn't even think those odds were possible with this.
Should we put money on this?
Yes.
Should we throw just some ceremonial?
What if Kevin Stallings does to Pitt what Valvano did to State in 1983 and goes on a full run? He gets the cardiac cats going, and he goes all the way to the title game.
Tate and I we should announce we're doing an emergency something when Stallings gets fired this week. I don't know if it's gonna be a podcast. If we're gonna do like a live video hit. We're gonna definitely do something to commemorate Kevin Stallings getting fired this week. You got anything else?
No, it's been a fun run.
That's been it. I have one more thing before we wrap up. So I for those who are pay a ton of attention to every podcast we do, I always close the podcast by saying "Save the Crew." I always mention my Twitter profile for the 7% out there that follow me that are real people. My Twitter picture is "Save the Crew." A lot of people ask me, what the hell does that even mean? I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I love the Columbus Crew, the soccer team we have there. They're trying to take them away from us. I'm not trying to get anybody to actually care about this. I know that no one cares about this. But Tate, fantastic news. The Ohio Attorney General is suing the owner of the Columbus Crew for trying to move the crew.
Yes.
So we have reached a point in the Save the Crew process where it's not just like the fans are throwing up their hands like, how could you do this to us, and crying, and neutral observers are like, yeah, this is hilarious that you're getting your team ripped from you.
Is that what they're doing? These are assholes.
Kind of. But we've reached a point now where the Ohio Attorney General is now taking because there's like a Ohio law from Art Modell when he took the Browns. Ohio said we're not letting that shit happen again, and they put in a law to where if an owner of a team wants to move a team, he has to first like sell it. If there are local people that want to buy it, he has to basically sell it to them, and the crew owner is not trying to sell it; he's just trying to move it. So this guy, DeWine, the Ohio Attorney General, comes in, takes him to court, Tate. It might actually be happening, and I say that to say, if it happens, I'm taking all the credit for this.
And you're going to be a minority owner, sure.
So this is like, the ball is actually rolling. We might actually save the crew, and when it happens, I'm going to be very obnoxious and take all the credit.
And for all those people that have been confused, it's not Mark Titus talking to our production crew, like, save the crew. Like, there was no
I don't
problems.
care about them. I don't care about Kyle.
Kyle wasn't threatening anyone or anything like that. So for everyone that was concerned,
I definitely do not care about that crew.
Yes,
it was the Columbus Crew.
I just wanted to make sure we cleared that.
We opened the season at Toronto, defending champs, biggest rival of ours. Win 2-0. It's all happening. This is supposed to be the last season of the Crew in Columbus, but we're gonna make it happen, Tate. So that's that. What, you got something else?
I was gonna say I'm at LAFC.
Okay.
I have tickets, and they had their first inaugural game. 1-0, Kyle. You hear that? 1-0 win. Great game. Really big fan of the program.
Have we found our off-season?
Yeah, we're actually turning this into an MLS podcast.
Transition to MLS.
We're sorry.
So before we go, follow us on Twitter at @OneShiningPod. Send us your dirty laundry stories. We'll do one more dirty laundry edition on Friday, I think. And then we'll probably we might splice them all up together like you did with the Parent Corner. We might make Kyle do that with all the best stuff.
Kyle just died.
Might do the best of. But yeah, send us all your dirty laundry at @OneShiningPod. He's at Tate Frazier. I'm at Club Trillion. Also, we set up a Yahoo bracket challenge.
Yes.
And you're asking why Yahoo. Have you been paying attention? Yahoo's dropping the bag for us. Of course, it's going to be Yahoo. So also Yahoo, it makes the most sense. They're taking.
We're
down
a bunch of Yahoos.
They're taking down the college basketball.
Yes.
So yeah,
Coach
check
K
that out.
hates
We
them.
have it. We have a bracket challenge thing. I think it's pinned at the top of our Twitter page. So go check that out. Join our bracket pool. You can go up against Tate and I. And finally, conference tournaments, Tate. Just one parting shot. What's the one you're most looking forward to? I know you're going to say ACC, but otherwise, other than ACC, what's the one you're most excited about this week?
Big East. Tune in.
Right.
It's a great tournament. Two teams that have 1 seeds, Villanova and Xavier at the time. I think watch that tournament. And then we get Mullen, Patrick Ewing, part 3.
Mullen, Patrick Ewing, part 3 on Wednesday. All the conference tournaments start on Wednesday except the ACC. That starts on Tuesday. We get Notre Dame plays Pitt. I think I'm most interested in Notre Dame. Not so much the ACC. I think Notre Dame has to beat Pitt, Virginia Tech, and then they get Duke. They rattle off those 3 wins, Tate. The Irish might be in. We really need the Irish in the NCAA tournament. So anyway, ACC tournament kicks off Tuesday. Rest of them are Wednesday. We will be back on Friday, kind of breaking them all down, looking into the weekend. At that point, we're going to be in the Final Four of some of these conference tournaments. So things are going to be juicy. Check that out. In the meantime, save the crew.